How's everyone doing?
They were live. Hey everyone, and welcome to I think it's the third or fourth, can't keep track. Our live stream that we're gonna start trying to make this a regular thing. Today we have my buddy, my friend here, and we're gonna read a couple hadiths, but mostly we're just gonna like chill and talk about rando stuff. So
Yep, and ask questions if you want.
yeah, or we can just like tell stories and stuff. Because it's funny, but I still haven't done a like why I left Islam video. And
I mean, do you want to do it
I think
now?
it's a not necessarily, but I think it's like a requirement. It's like an
Yeah.
explicit requirement to have a my leaving story.
Darori.
All right. So first, just to lighten up the mood, I think I'm gonna show you these these two little comments, and and then we'll just talk. We'll just talk. So where
Okay.
is I'm gonna screen share real quick. So like I was telling you that this guy, oh shit, it's not showing up. I hate it when that happens. Da-na-na-na-na. Oh jeez, get out of it.
What's that noise?
Nothing. What? That was me.
Oh, somebody said you left Islam for emotional reasons.
Yeah. Don't we all? That's what they always say. You left for emotional reasons.
not
You
not because
stayed for emotional reasons. You know, it's really funny.
Oh my god, that's so true. They're so emo about their religion. They want it so bad. Oh my god. They can't even imagine. It's like this. It's like a comfort blanket. No matter how wrong it is, it's a comfort blanket. Aw, you're Blinky.
Yeah,
Ooh, I
it's
just imagined
actually
like a blanket with
funny
Islam on it, like
because
written on it.
um I like hearing that argument because I'm gonna debunk it right now. When they say you left Islam for emotional reasons, like that couldn't be farther from the truth. I don't know anyone who really leaves for emotional reasons. Like everyone that I've met left for logical reasons. You stay for emotional reasons. You stay because you feel like, oh, you know, my family is in it, and I want to be. Yeah, I know. I knew that, but like poor kid. But I want to put this to bed because I've seen this a lot of times. There'll be like a Muslim guy who says, "Oh, your life was shit. Your life was terrible. So you know you blame Islam. So therefore, automatically you left for emotional reasons, and that's not that wasn't valid or whatever." And then I got this guy say like, you know, honestly, I don't blame you, and I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I never claimed that my life was so freaking terrible under Islam. Like, but you know,
I mean,
what I was trying to say, what I was trying to get at is like, say that there's a girl who really does have a terrible story. She was abused, she was, you know, assaulted or whatever, and then if she decides later on in life to leave, you know, is that really another person's right to tell her you left because of the assault and not because of any other reasons? And because she was assaulted, does that mean that all of the rest of her arguments are automatically invalid because she had one like or even multiple bad experiences? I mean, this is ridiculous and it doesn't fly in any other context. You know, this guy was like, oh, you know, I understand why you left it. You know, you had shitty parents and they treated you bad or whatever. Okay, even if a girl is like constantly abused and assaulted, and she lives for, you know, over 15 years, if she moves out and lives by herself, and she's still Muslim, you know, for 3 years living by herself, and then you know, through a completely different reason, she comes across different ideas and scientific arguments, and she starts to think, and then she leaves the religion. Oh, was it just the abuse was a ticking time bomb waiting to make her leave the religion. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous to say, oh, she left for emotional reasons. So just because something happened to her is not possible for her to have a logical argument. Like, that's
It's like victim blaming or something, right? Is that what the people say?
yeah, in a way. It's like it's no, it's just worse because it's basically like invalidating her. You're validating her experience, like her trauma, but you're invalidating her logic, her logical brain. You're saying because you had trauma happen to you, it's physically impossible for you to use your logical brain, and any argument that you have is automatically invalid. Come on. That's so silly, but they think that this is
Exactement.
that they think that this, makes sense. Oh, because you were raped, therefore anything you have against any argument you have against against the flat earth theory, or any arguments you have towards evolution me are invalid. Like like that's hilarious. Like, fuck off. I think
I
Saracen
think that
no,
people. I
Saracen
think
said that to
people.
me, and I was like, little boy, you know nothing about my life story, bye.
Saracen?
Yeah, don't you remember Saracen?
No,
Anyway, it
I don't
doesn't matter.
remember Saracen. I
Dang
can't
it!
stand people who have similar names to me. I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
You don't remember? Well, if he hopped in the
Was he that
chat right now.
was he that Christian guy that was like super
No, I
was
don't
that
think he was. I don't. No, no, he's not. He's a Muslim. He's a Muslim apologetic dude.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah.
But I mean I don't remember him 100%. I remember he was like really loud or something and he was like uh
Yeah, he
what was it?
when a while back when Rob did gin and tonic with the Mask Arab, Saracen jumped on the call.
Who exactly is the Sarah person? Of her best friend. Yeah.
Who do you think? She's on every single one of my live streams almost. We're twins. We're a pair. You can't
I
have one without the
yeah,
other.
we're twin flames.
We're like peanut butter jelly. Anyway, I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to screen share again. I did it earlier and it was a fiasco. Let me see.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say one thing
There's
about
a pop-up
the
button.
people using that argument,
Yeah.
of saying that, oh, this bad thing happened to you, blah blah. I
Therefore,
feel, yeah.
therefore you
I mean,
you couldn't
exactly.
possibly have any valid reasons for leaving the religion because you had a traumatic experience.
there are so many women on Earth right now that went through traumatic experiences and they're still Muslim and if not more so, if not more faithful to Islam. You
Exactly.
know.
That's true. That's true. And that was my point that I was trying to make, because when they say you left for emotional reasons, that's why when I said you stayed for emotional reasons, because a lot of times when something traumatic happens, religion can be a comfort for people. And so
Yeah.
they're more likely to stay, because religion offers all of these little, explanations and things for you to make you feel better after something happened, and and say that you get assaulted as a Muslim woman, like sexually assaulted or something. That in itself is not going to make you jump off and apostatize, leave the religion. In fact, some women will become more religious and go, oh, I'm doing something wrong. I have to cover up more. I have to start wearing the niqab. I have to, I must be too promiscuous in my dress. I have to wear baggier clothes and abayas. And, I must have fucked up, in my hijab, and I must have worn perfume and done something to entice the men. I need to be more devout and more pious. And so there,
Exactly.
there are things that, and this is actually, it goes deeper than just Islam, because a lot of times when a child is abused, they'll start wearing more clothes, and that's one of, like, they might even put on layers and layers of clothing to try and protect themselves, and it's like this deep seated subconscious thing. So it's
It's the
just
same way that
it's absurd.
people when oh sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. It's absurd to say to jump to the conclusion if something happened to you, therefore you left for emotional reasons. Like, you can't tell someone else why they left. They're the only ones who know why they left the religion. Come on.
Exactly. It's kind of like I mentioned earlier. I said a comfort blanket or a blankie or whatever. When you're scared, you know that the monsters, if there are monsters, you're gonna die, no matter how many blankets you have on top of you. But we still cover ourselves like as if I mean I feel like that's like a weird thing that humans have. We cover ourselves with something and then we feel protected.
Yeah,
And
like using clothing as protection, or using, things that wouldn't actually protect. It's just about peace of mind.
yeah.
It's just like this illusion of security. But anyway,
Thanks for the thumbs up.
hey, oh damn. Well, I mean, you can keep listening. So let's read this little. I don't know if you can see
Okay,
my
go ahead. Go
screen.
ahead. Yeah. Yeah, I can see it.
So,
It's kind of far away, but like I
oh, let
see
me
it
see if
says
I
perfume
can.
is haram. Did I get that right? If yes, then wouldn't that mean deodorant is haram too? I don't get it. Yeah.
And then the author of the video replied, "Yes, if it is in public, according to the Hadith of the Prophet." So,
You're supposed to stink
deodorant,
outside. Like
yeah.
don't look good. Don't look good and smell
Don't
bad,
look good, don't
so that
smell good.
you repel people.
I mean, this is so contradictory because they want to act like,
In Islam, it says you
you
have to be
know,
so
you're
clean.
clean, but then you got to be dirty at the same time. It's really weird. Like, you're supposed to be clean and you're supposed to clean yourself with water, but then you're not supposed to smell good. Like, because smelling good is gonna entice the men, and just every little thing you
But
do is
it's
gonna
only for
entice the men
women
into
because men
raping.
are allowed to
Yeah,
wear
men can wear musk and
perfume,
and
whatever.
and oils and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah, only women are supposed to stink. No, no perfume, no deodorant.
How bad is that? I mean, think about how stupid that is. And also, they talk about hygiene so much in terms of like a woman has to shave and do all this and blah blah. I can only imagine how hard it was to shave, um, back in the day. Like goddamn. But yeah, like they want women to shave and do all these things, but at the same time, don't smell good, and but clean yourself all the time and like 5 times a day do that little thing. Maybe it's because they think that if you make wudu 5 times a day, you can't possibly smell bad. Like but technically you're not really like going and putting the water to your armpit. Like they're just your arm and your in your face and stuff like that.
Oh, when you do wudu, yeah.
Oh, how
Yes.
stressful! And I mean, I just keep thinking about how stressful that is to constantly have to make wudu, and then if you have sex or something, you have to make wudu, and
No, you
if
have
you
to
do
make ghusl
anything,
if
also
you.
same difference.
It's like a full shower. But
Yeah,
you just have to be constantly, you basically have to be constantly cleaning yourself, in these ritualistic ways, because it's not like you're cleaning yourself um,
it's not really
in any
cleaning yourself.
concrete way. Because the thing is, when you wash your hands with water, it's just water. Wudu does not involve soap, so
Yeah,
it's really more of a ritual cleansing and not
sounds like the Vikings, doesn't
actually.
it?
I mean,
Doesn't it?
when you put water on yourself, you're not actually removing any bacteria unless you have like dust or some actual dirt on you, but
Oh,
it's a ritual.
I just remembered something. Yesterday, I was talking to one of my friends. He's Christian, and he mentioned that, and we mentioned this also, and I mentioned that to him. Oh my God, I'm like going. Okay, so what happened was he said that apparently Muhammad was a white man, and I told him about like us talking about this before, like in a
Oh, the
podcast,
hadith. Yeah.
and then we kind of tried to go
Oh,
deeper
you
into
told
it.
him
Yeah,
about the
like
podcast?
well, I didn't give him a link
Oh,
or
okay.
anything, but I just told him about it.
All right, go ahead.
He might be offended because he's a religious Christian
Oh,
person. So,
yeah.
and sometimes we make Jesus jokes. You know what I mean? So, but anyways, I did tell him like I do this with you. But he mentioned that Muhammad was a white person, and then I went into a little theory, and I said, well, is the reason why people liked him so much was because he was so different from them? Because like in Saudi Arabia, I highly doubt that there were a bunch of white people. So is he a foreigner? What was he half some other thing? And like, I mean, how come he was so white in like in his description? Like they describe him as a white man, and they say the white one. So therefore, that means all of them aren't white, right? Like if they like imagine if they were all okay. Like think about it. If they were all white, then they wouldn't really notice that Muhammad was
Oh yeah, I
white.
see what you're saying. They wouldn't specifically come out if it's an entirely white nation. They wouldn't specifically say, "Oh, that white guy," because everyone would be white. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So it
So I'm
was like
thinking,
putting him on a pedestal and saying about how white he is.
yeah, I'm wondering what if he's not, an Arab dude, or like what if he's half Arab or something, and or like why does he look so different than everybody else in the description? And if he was living in the desert and he was that white, there's only two possibilities. He's either really like from a different nation, or he never worked outside, he never even walked outside, he never did anything outside, and he was like a prince or something, and he stayed inside his whole life. Because isn't that what they say, like for example in the Asian culture, they say, oh, the fairer you are, the more wealthy you are, therefore, that's why they prize that so
Because you
much.
don't
They
work out in the sun, so therefore you're higher class.
Exactly. So I'm thinking there's only two possibilities. Either he's half something else, or he's full something else. Like he's some other racial group. Like maybe he's a white guy that just so happened to have been born in Saudi Arabia, and therefore, you know, learned Arabic and stuff. I don't know. Like I'm having theories right now.
Right. But I
But
mean,
yeah,
at the
and
end
then
of the
we
day, it's all speculation. We can't know for sure. But it's just interesting how
yeah.
they specifically point it out. Like, look, he's white. His armpits are white. He's a white man, and all this stuff. So let's read this next comment.
Okay.
Giving it some context, so on the video was about how a woman can protect herself from getting a jinn attracted to her and latched on to her, and making
Lol.
a jinn fall in love with her to follow her around, basically become obsessed with her and infatuated and want to have sex with her. And there was a ton of people in the comments who were like, "Oh my gosh, a jinn tried to rape me." It was, I'm sorry,
Sorry.
I gotta stop laughing,
They
but
don't
it's
even have
not.
a physical form. Like
I mean,
what the
some
fuck?
people think they do have a physical form or that they can manifest or whatever because they're
Reptilians.
they're known as the unseen. But at the same time, like Muhammad himself said, they can make themselves seen if they want to.
So reptilians? That sounds like
Rept-
reptilians.
How did you get to reptilians?
Because jinns remind, like, they just kind of like make me think of
So they were
reptilians. I don't know why.
supposedly from a smokeless fire, so that would make them little fire demons, um,
I
who
just
can turn
imagined like
invisible.
fire with eyes and stuff, like
Oh, like the
smiling.
fire princess from Adventure Time.
Yes.
Anyway, so basically, the guy, what's his name, Dawaman, he was given advice about how a woman can protect herself from a jinn falling in love with her and potentially trying to assault her or whatever. So this is a long list of shit. So right, so someone said, so even at home we can't wear makeup or what? It's just like, and then they replied, yes, they can wear makeup, but if you do your supplications before entering the house, then you are protected, and do your quls after Fajr and Maghrib, and before you sleep, and recite Baqarah in the house, etc., etc. So there's more. Dot dot dot.
Oh dear
Then you'll be
Jesus
safe,
Christ.
inshallah. Like there's so many little requirements just to be
You
safe
can't
in your own
live.
house. You can't escape from these little fire demons that are watching you, trying to jack off to you because it's bad enough that you can't even be like go outside looking normal, wearing perfume and wearing makeup and dress normally, but you can't even be in your own house because there's male demons all around watching you. So basically I think this is part of the reason why some people once sorry, I got distracted. I was reading a little comments. This is
Mm-hmm.
why some non-Muslims get confused and they'll ask silly questions like, oh, do you wear that in the house? You wear hijab in the house? You wear hijab in the shower? Like, because they think people literally just eat and breathe and sleep in their hijab. And it's because of stuff like this. Like, if you're genuinely this paranoid that a jinn is going to look at you while you're naked, or fall in love with you or something, and that you need to be on the offense, on the defense 24/7. Yeah, you're going to become paranoid. It's going to consume your life. You can't even go to the bathroom or take a shower. Like, you have to make sure that you recite your incantations before entering the bathroom. And it really, like, a simple task becomes so consuming because you
Muslim
have to
proud to be,
do
we know that they
all
don't
these.
wear hijabs
uh,
at home.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
talking about the
we know.
specific thing,
We're
like
talking about people who might think that, okay, me and Sarah are ex-Muslims, so we know that Muslim girls don't wear hijab in the house. We're saying that if someone is to tell a young Muslim girl that if she isn't careful in her own house, she could have a jinn run up on her and fall in love with her and get attached to her, and therefore start antagonizing her entire life and try to basically make her life a living hell. Because according to the mythology, once a jinn becomes attached to you, they don't leave you
can
alone
he help you? Can he
24/7.
help you with the cool things? Like
Like, if you try to make salat, they try to interrupt your
if the
salat,
jinn
or like,
like you can just
stop
talk to
you from
him and
getting distract you, stop you from getting on the prayer rug and all this
what?
stuff.
Oh wait, sorry. The connection was acting weird. I was just gonna say one thing. Remember, you have to do your ritual so that the jinns and the devil does not pee in your mouth. Okay, and your ears,
I
and fuck
mean,
your ears. Like I heard something like he puts his penis in your ear or some
I mean,
shit like that.
it's
I don't
just
know.
it's so much stuff. It's like you can't.
Yes.
When you wake up, you have to say stuff as soon as you open your eyes. You have to say a magic spell. You have to recite your incantations before you go to sleep. You have to recite your incantations before you eat, after you eat, before you go to the bathroom, after you come out the bathroom, before you go in the car. People don't realize, like, it sounds like so innocent. Oh, it just takes 30 seconds. This consumes your entire day. You have to memorize these spells. Like, it's it's not, and I'm calling them what they are. They're incantations. They are magical protection spells. You're gonna say,
They
"Oh, it's a
are.
dua."
You know how
Like
Muslims
that.
believe in
What do you
magic
think a dua
so
is?
strongly.
You're
They
saying
remind me of
a thing
pagans.
that's supposed to protect you. That's a spell. That is a magic protection spell. Like, let's be real. So,
Hey, if the jinn only targets people who have weak faith, then why doesn't he target, like, I don't know, like some Christian people or some atheist or whoever? He doesn't really target them,
uh,
does he?
I'm gonna say something right now. That's completely not true. It's actually quite the opposite. Jinns do not target people weak in faith, because they actually target, and this is theoretically, like, I'm not saying I believe in jinn, but according to the mythology, they it makes more sense that they would target people who are stronger in faith, because they're the ones who they want to pull away from their faith. They're the ones who have all of these stories of, I came out and I was going to make prayer and a jinn was sitting on my prayer mat trying to stop me, trying to distract me, sidetrack me. If you read the book The World of Jinn and Devils, which I read cover to cover, the ones who are telling the stories that they saw a jinn, that their friend got possessed by a jinn, who do you think these people are? These are devout Muslims. There's not a non-Muslim who's never heard of the story of a jinn talking about, I just, have this jinn following me around. If you don't tell people about the concept of this creature, they're not going to know about the concept of the creature and talk about the concept of the creature. And to say that, and to say that, like, oh, non-Muslims have jinns and they don't even know it. Well, that sounds kind of convenient to me. That sounds a lot better than, oh, I'm possessed by a jinn rolling around on the floor. I need an exorcism. How come non-Muslims aren't acting possessed, but Muslims are the only ones acting possessed? That sounds like it's more of a psychological issue, and something in their mind, than, your then the ones who are weak in faith are getting attacked. Like it's the exact opposite. All the stories of people who had jinn target them are Muslims, and very strongly believing Muslims. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the stronger you believe, the more likely you are to believe in these jinn things, because jinn is a concept that you can't get around. It's in the Quran multiple times. It is jinn and mankind, jinn and devils. Jinn are mentioned in the Quran multiple times. You can't be Muslim and say jinn don't exist. You have to believe at the very least that they are unseen beings that are able to travel on our physical plane without being seen or touched. Now, there are some other people who say that they can make themselves seen, and who believe that they do have the ability to to manifest and to affect our physical world. But they still both believe that in the existence of jinn. But I'm sorry, people who people who like, the more uh devout you are, the more likely you're to believe in these possessions and these antagonizations of jinn following people around and entering their dreams and causing them to have nightmares. This is what I was trying to say, because when I was told as a young child, I don't know, 9, 10 years old, whatever, like about the existence of jinn, the more jinn stories I was told, the more jinn dreams I had, the more jinn nightmares I had, the more I felt that I was going to see a jinn. Or if I was in the house by myself and I heard the floorboards creak, that was a jinn standing there, or something. I'm not gonna say, I
It's
wasn't
kind of
gonna
like watching
assume that
it's kind of like
that
watching
was.
horror movies and having that in your mind and then starting to see
Yeah.
everything as like the horror
Okay,
movie.
it's like
Yeah.
this. I gave this example yesterday. I said, when you're a child and you're scared that there's monsters under your bed, and you call your mom, you want your mom to say, "No, sweetie, the monsters are not real. There's no monsters under your bed." However, in Islam, if you say, "I'm scared, there's a jinn in the bathroom, there's a jinn in the closet," your mom's going to say, "Yeah, jinn are real." Yeah, you don't want your parents to be like, monsters are real, like, but
Are
that's
real.
that's what you have to deal with. So I'm not gonna say like
Yep.
how
They're
that
just
this is
gonna
a
tell
very
you to.
common.
They're just gonna tell you to throw before you go to the bathroom. Throw some salt. Throw some salt, and say like some kind
Yeah,
of
it's not comforting at
Buddha or
all,
something.
because it's so silly. You're telling a small child, like, yeah, demons are real, but just say your
Ignore
little
them.
incantations and you'll be fine. And the fact is that sorry, the fact is that if you, as a child, like, if you forget your incantations, you're fucked. You're gonna be paranoid. I mean, I tell this story all the time. I used to say Ayatul Kursi every night before bed, religiously, every single night. Every night I memorized it and I used to say it, and I thought, "Oh, this is what's going to protect me from the jinn, messing with my sleep, or waking me up, or bothering me, or giving me sleep paralysis or whatever." One night I didn't like
Yeah.
prepare to fall asleep. I didn't say my incantation. I fell asleep by accident. I was like doing something on the bed and I just dozed off. Okay. Fuck me. That's must be my fault for dozing off like a normal human being or a small child, because boom, I got a nightmare of these little jinn characters in my dream. And they were not, I'm going to say right now that it's not that those were real jinn entering my dream because I forgot to say my spells. That was the psychological effect of someone telling you this is what's going to happen if you don't say your spells. So, of course, my brain said, this is the natural course of action. If if you don't do this, you're going to have a nightmare. I convinced myself and my brain that if I don't say this before sleep, I'm going to have a nightmare. And of course, I had a nightmare because that's what my brain was programmed to expect to happen. So that's what manifested. But
Yeah. I
anyway,
mean,
it's
that's
just
why I
it's just
mentioned the
funny.
horror
Like,
films.
I brought up, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like a kid who watches a lot of horror movies and scares the shit out of themselves and makes themselves paranoid that ghosts exist and all these things exist. You're gonna start seeing signs where there's nothing there. and other people are going to
Yeah.
think you're crazy.
Oh, can I say another thing? Even being removed from Islam, sometimes I get that weird feeling when I go to the bathroom, when I do something. Like and then I forget, like, and I'll say like Bismillah or something, and I'm like, wait a minute. And then
Yeah,
you
no,
know, and sometimes I do this weird thing where I'll go back and listen to like Quran, like even though I don't really believe in it at all. So that's like a weird psychological thing that still affects me. Like it's
yeah.
like a, you
It's
know.
like, you lived for years. And it's understandable because you lived for like almost 2 dozen years believing this stuff, and it's very deep seated in your psyche that, oh, I need something to protect me when I feel scared. And it's funny because the thing that protects you is not, it's not Allah, it's not a guardian angel, it's these words, it's this incantation just to make you feel better. So it's just really kind of funny. Like, for example, I'll tell you something that, when I was little, you can imagine I was very afraid of the dark because, I was afraid of like jinns and stuff. I was just scared of the dark in general. And I thought I was never gonna get over it. Like, I was the most scared ass bitch. Like, I had to turn on all the lights just to go anywhere. And I thought that I was like, I'm just going to be afraid of the dark for my entire life. Even if I'm an adult, I don't see how I'm going to grow out of this crippling fear of the dark. And I was afraid of the dark, but after I, realized that for me that Islam was not convincing, and that, you know, Allah probably doesn't exist in the form that he's described, and all that bit, and became an ex-Muslim, my fear of the dark went away to a strong extent. It's not completely gone, but it's nowhere near where it was, because now I can walk through a dark hallway and be like, I'm not afraid that a jinn is going to jump out and try to grab me or do something, or that I'm going to see one running by through the corner of my eye or whatever. Like, it is a huge weight off my shoulders. And I said this before. It's actually kind of funny that in response to the comment earlier about jinn only latch on to people who are weak in faith. It's it's counter.
If they were
Like, that's
to
not true.
follow the people with the weak faith,
That concept doesn't make sense.
what would it do? They're already weak in faith. They don't need to do any work.
Um,
Also, I
exactly.
have to say something. Like, I don't know, about like 2 years ago, I went and I was staying with my cousin, and in her room, I didn't realize this, but like before this happened, she turned off the lights, and she didn't have a window in that room, and it was pitch black, dark as hell, and I felt like I was gonna get attacked by a demon. I swear, like I mean, like I really felt that way. And even though I didn't really believe, even at that time, but like I still had this lingering feeling of like, oh my God. And I couldn't sleep because I was like, I feel suffocated, like in this room with demons running all around me, like just jumping and playing and looking at me. Like I was imagining like a girl like in like on the ceiling coming out. Like I seriously.
That sounds like some horror movie shit. But
Yeah,
like,
maybe
it's
it's a
like you're
horror
living in a
movie.
horror movie. Like, oh.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I'll say that I said before that it's, I mean, having a fear of the dark is not uncommon. There are a lot of people. I'm not saying it's a religious thing. Um, but
But your fear specifically was
it was
religious
attacked. It was
ish.
attached and amplified because I was afraid of the dark from when I was like 5 years old. But as I heard these jinn stories, um, my fear of the dark amplified greatly. So it was like it multiplied. So, um, because like I said, I read this book, The World of Jinn and Devils, with the intention of being able to arm myself more and protect myself more and be like, okay, once I read this, I'll know what I need to know so that I don't have to worry about it. But actually, it had the opposite effect. I became more worried because, like I said, if you do the research, it appears that a non-Muslim jinn, because people don't know that there's the concept that a jinn can be Muslim or non-Muslim, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yep.
The reason it makes no sense is because if a Muslim jinn is reading the Quran, will he vanquish himself? Because that's
Oh
what you
shit.
do. You use the Quran and these du'as to vanquish a jinn. So like
And isn't it
how
sad to read like to read passages that talk badly about you? Like if
yeah,
he's like reading it, and how is he flipping the pages and stuff? Like I'm just
I don't know.
wondering.
Some people believe that they
Does he read
can.
it behind the back of somebody else? Like they just listen to it. They don't actually read it. They just listen to it. But then they would die or something or be cast away. Yeah, it's
Exactly,
weird.
like they would be
And how would they
vanquished.
make a wudu too? Like they're made from fire.
I don't know, dude.
Oh,
I mean,
and can we go back real quick to that thing about the jinns wanting the human women? I'm thinking in my head like Muslim men don't even want human women. They want some celestial beings.
oh yes, let me bring up the quote. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I'm gonna go on that right now. Okay. Time to screen share. This is a hadith chapter of the characteristics of paradise. I need to show y'all this hadith because y'all don't even know. They want some freaking alien women.
They do. Wait, Muslim proud to be. Are you saying that when they use the bathroom outside, um, in the trees and stuff, that they were possessed while using the bathroom? Because I mean, why would God make people suffer so hard? He knows that they don't have plumbing. He knows that they don't have water. Like they don't. He knows that it's hard for them, and then he makes them have to do wudu 5 times a day. Isn't that so unfair? And then they get possessed.
Okay, can you see
Your
this?
Usted.
I'm screen sharing.
Oh, so they call in um uh, I'm guessing that's like Pakistan, right? They also call them Usted.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I thought that was something. Dot dot dot.
Okay, so since you
Anyways.
bring up the paradise women, uh, you know, I think
Oh,
that
they would get
people,
pissed because they live in the trees. But I mean, I thought they lived in like abandoned houses and bathrooms and stuff. I feel really bad for Jins. Like they live in the worst places.
yeah, and they have to eat
Like,
like dried shit
you
and
know what?
and
You know what I?
bones.
Yeah, yeah. Usted means like teacher, but I didn't know that they used that word too over there. Like
Yeah.
that's why I was asking. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I pulled this up because you brought up the Hori. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, Muslims think they're going to get 72 versions," but actually, only martyrs believe they'll get 72 versions. That's the the belief, the idea that if you die through martyrdom, you'll get 72 versions, but if you just go normally, you'll get two. And this is the hadith right here is Bukhari. So it says, narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, the first batch of people who enter paradise will be glittering like the full moon, and the batch next to them will be glittering like the most brilliant star in the sky. Their hearts will be as if the heart of a single man, for they will have neither enmity nor jealousy amongst themselves. Everyone will have two wives from the Huris, who will be so beautiful, pure, and transparent that the marrow of the bones of their legs will be seen through the bones and the flesh. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like the ideal woman, like female, feminine beauty. But there
Yeah.
are these sheikhs who genuinely are like, no, you don't understand. Like, transparent skin is actually beautiful. You won't know until you see it, and then you'll be like, oh, they're the most beautiful. But this actually sounds like an alien bitch because
I
Like,
mean, it
why?
sounds like the Anunnaki, the what is
I
it? The great
mean,
tall whites.
their skin will be
You know?
so transparent that you can see through their bones. You can see their marrow. Like, can you just imagine that right now? A invisible,
That's
like,
so gross.
woman who looks like, those species of fish that you can see through their skin into their organs, or like the frogs, you can see their organs, or jellyfish. Like, I don't know, it sounds like a weird amphibian creature.
Oh, it
That's
like
like
really goes into the reptilian thing.
clear skin. Yeah.
I just
So
imagine
this
them
is
as
what
like
people
lizard
are looking
women.
forward to. I
Yo,
don't know who came up with this.
I just imagine them as these white lizard women with like transparent
Because
things and like blonde hair and blue eyes, but their eyes are not like human eyes, they're like lizard eyes. So they're sorry. But can
yeah,
I say
but
one thing about this?
wouldn't you
It just
rather have a
proves
human woman than this creature, than this foreign creature who didn't have a life, who didn't have a soul on earth and no experience, and she was created just for you to have sex with her? I mean, it's
okay,
very
can I
strange,
say something
and
about
she's a
that?
virgin. And I mean,
Can we
maybe the reason she's invisible is so that you can see through her skin see her virginity or something.
uh
Yeah,
maybe
and
that's
hoodies are created different than us. Exactly. Why do we need a different creature? This is almost promoting bestiality. Do you want to have sex with a different species? Dot dot dot.
exactly, you know,
Like,
aliens, you know, you
that
know.
it's just strange. And then they're supposed to be so beautiful. You still have your spouse with you. That's even worse. So you have your human earthly spouse,
Oh
and
my
she
god,
has
how
to
does that make any
compete.
sense?
How is she going to
How does that
compete with
make
these
any sense?
alien women?
Oh my god, can I just say something? I actually talked to someone
But yeah, you don't have your spouse with you actually, because your spouse, what if your spouse is in hell? You're supposed to look down at her and smile and have no empathy for her, because when you enter her
smile.
paradise, your empathy will be sucked out of you and you will become like these mindless drones who don't care, and they don't cry, because the only way for you to be happy in heaven is if you don't look down and cry about your family members who are burning in hell right now.
And your friends.
And so therefore you can't, how can you be happy if you know that, unless that part of your emotions is taken out of you and you become like a different person. So there's, upon entering heaven, there's this river that you're supposed to dip yourself into, and when you come out of it, it's like you're not even human anymore.
Oh my god, can I just say something? I was trying to say it earlier, but the Huriya, whatever whatever they're
Mhm.
called, basically their name means freedom, you know that, but they're not free. That's the funny thing. But anyways,
Yeah, they're not free, but you're free to do whatever you want with them.
yeah, they're basically like synthetic humans. But anyways, I was gonna say this proves that that Arabs or Muslims or whatever have such admiration towards the white people, because you know, with Muhammad being called the white guy or whatever, the white guy, the white man, and then also the Hurriyat having skin so white that you can see through their veins and whatever. That just proves that they have this weird fascination with white women or white people in general,
Yeah, that's what I was
because
trying to
they're the
get
closest.
at before. It's like they're so white that their skin is transparent. And, or because you know how some white people, their like skin is not translucent, but you can see their veins very, very well and stuff. It's like going to the extreme.
Yeah,
White is such the standard of beauty that transparent must be the epitome of beauty. And it's like, no, who
yeah.
wants that?
What if your entire life you only like black women? Like, my brother, he only likes black women. Is if he goes to heaven, does that mean he has to be stuck with these uh people? What if he likes a different type? Like a girl that's so dark that you can't see anything, like none of her, nothing, you can't even see her eyes or something. Like, I mean, it's like it's kind of like a weird thing of like that was what society wanted at the time. Like, that's what they thought was great. Like, look at the food that's in heaven, look at the stuff that's in heaven. Like nothing, I mean, we have better stuff on earth right now. Right now we have better things. Oh, and also, I was thinking another thing.
Yeah,
What
it's like
if
the alcohol that doesn't make you drunk. What's the point of drinking it if it doesn't make you drunk? It's basically grape
basically
juice.
soda?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
like, oh, it's a
yeah.
beverage. It tastes good. It doesn't intoxicate you, it doesn't make you feel good. What the heck is the point of alcohol that doesn't make you drunk? So that's actually like a step down. It's not as
Exactly.
good.
I mean, oh, I mean, I'm sorry, but I will enjoy Earth to the fullest because I know that I
Absolutely.
if I ever went to heaven, it would suck ass. Like goddamn, okay, if they gave me my kind of heaven, I would love to be in like a Naruto world. Like I would love to like that would be my heaven to be like in Naruto or something, or like some type of anime like or something like that. That would be cool.
Yeah, but I
Like
think I
Dragon Ball
think the
Z,
point
like you
is
know.
that even you know, if you're in your own little ecosystem, you have an entire neighborhood, you know, of your own paradise where there's, you know, people there and houses and neighbors just for you to make you feel good at the back of your mind. Don't Wouldn't you still want to mourn the people that you knew in this life who like ultimately they're not around, and like they're in hell, but you're supposed to be okay with that? They're in hell eternally. It's not like, oh, they'll be here in 6 months, you know. It's like, no, you'll never see them again, and you're supposed to be happy. You're not supposed to mourn that fact. And
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
I asked this before. I asked the chef before. I said if my best friend went to hell and I went to heaven, and but my desire is to have my best friend with me or my mom or anybody. He was like, oh, you can still have your best friend. I was like, how's that possible if she's in hell? It was like, oh yeah, they're just gonna replicate her and create one that looks just like her and acts just like her. And I
Yes.
said, well, I said I don't want that. I want her soul. That sounds so devilish, but
You want the
I
real
don't care.
her,
Yes,
not this
exactly.
clone, this cheap imitation who it's never going to be her. Is going to be like a person who looks like her on the outside and maybe even acts like her, but you're going to know that's not really her, that the real her is burning in hell. And this sicko dude thought that giving you a cheap imitation was going to make you happy.
Yeah, it sounds like some weird like princess stuck in a tower thing, and her parents give her, like replicas of random shit that she likes, but it's not the real thing. I don't know. I just I don't know. Like she's living in a delusion or something. Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
find what like a huria would look like. You know, huria like isn't in Arabic doesn't it mean mermaid?
What?
I thought huria meant mermaid. Are they sirens, basically? Like are the huriyats or whatever they're called just mermaids and we're sirens?
Mermaids. I mean,
Yeah, because that's the Arabic word for it. Like huriya is huriyat al-bahr is basically mermaid.
that's
Huriyat
creepy.
al-bahr.
I just can't get
So
over like imagine seeing somebody's like bone marrow. I'd be like, listen, you need to go to the doctor, go to the hospital or something, get that fixed because that's creepy. I can't do it. And here's another thing, right? It says you get the men will have two wives from the Houris. But yet again, women don't have equality in Islam because women don't get two male Houris.
man, I mean, in heaven you should be able to get whatever you want. What if you're like in real life, like in while you were alive, you were very sexually frustrated and you were never satisfied in your entire life, and all you want is to have sex.
All you want is some male sex slaves. I mean, hey, you know, actually, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a hijabi chick who asked Zakir Naik that one time. She said she went to him in his little Q&A sessions, and she was like, you know, men get hori, what do women get? And he just like gave her the runaround. He was like, mashallah, you will be content with what you get in heaven, blah blah blah. Like that's
Oh,
basically, so you don't get no alien reptilian dick.
D.
Sorry, I said it.
Wait. Yo, can I say something? I was talking to a guy and I told him that because he kept saying, I have like 3 wives. I think he was just joking, and he was like, I want you to be my fourth, and I said I would never accept that. I'm not a jealous person, but I want my man to be my man. Like he's mine, like I'm
He
his,
said, "I
he's
want you
mine.
to be
That's
my
it.
fourth." That's a
Yeah.
classic Muslim pickup line.
Yeah. And then after that I told him, in heaven, like he brought it up and he said in heaven he was trying to tell me that men are sexual creatures and women are not sexual creatures, therefore they're content with not having sex and not doing this. They're here for like to make to have babies.
Yeah,
um
women are more
and then he said,
emotional.
yeah, exactly. And he said that women, they want money. That's like all they want. They want money, material things, and
Wow.
and children. That's it. And then he used the example of how God gives or how Allah gives uh men those 72 versions, and also gives men other types of slave heaven people, like angels or something. And he used that as an example to justify uh, men being promiscuous and men wanting to have multiple wives and things like this. And I'm like, okay, but I just love how he thought that women are not sexual creatures. Like, why would what? I'm sorry. Have you ever listened to a song? Just listen to the
If
to the
women
things
were
that they
not
say.
sexual creatures, like the human race would have died off because they wouldn't tolerate men continuing to procreate with them if they like didn't enjoy it at all and had no urges to do it as well.
Yep.
Silly.
Yeah, hadiths are so sexual. They are. Just read a comment. I mean, when they go like and they talk about it specifically, like, oh, a woman has to do this and that and please her man, but you can't suck dick though.
What?
No, but you're not. I think oral sex is forbidden. I think, or makruh or something.
Yeah, it's makruh. Like, I mean, it's on the fence. Like, they disagree about it. Some say it's okay, some say it's not. But
Oh, somebody
everything
said I think women have emotional sex with tears. I'm
that's
sorry.
sarcasm.
That's
Don't nobody,
that's
man, dudes cry. Dudes are the
dudes
ones
cry.
who cry
Yeah,
after they get some good.
yeah.
Okay, so
My
okay, we can
bad.
stop.
I look.
You're terrible.
MashaAllah.
Why'd you say that?
Because I saw a
I'm just
comment
saying,
that said
like, you can make
MashaAllah.
a dude cry, though. I mean, anyone can cry. I don't know
Guys will get
why
more
people cry
attached to you
after.
than you will get attached to them. Just-
I mean, it's like I said, it all depends. Like, if you got that good, then a guy will not want to let you go. They'll be all, oh, I gotta cuff you and all this stuff.
I'm sorry. Can I have a friend and like I heard she said that she had sex with this guy and she moved to a different city and she didn't see him for like a year, and every time he kept talking about her to his friends and asking about her and waiting for her to come back because he like fell in love with her just from having sex with her that one time.
This is your friend, huh? This is
Yep.
someone else.
One of my friends.
Yeah. Okay. It's all good.
I heard it from the what is it, the grapevines or whatever, from the
Yeah,
grapevines.
of course.
Yeah.
So,
What one of it's like this. Like my friend has a friend that told her all of this because her other friend lives in a different city with that guy.
oh right.
Yeah, and that guy is really hot, by the way. So she should probably go back and hang out with him. I hope nobody can hear me in my house.
Oh. So I have two stories here. And I was thinking we could read one of them or both of them, whatever. And one of them is about Quran zombies, and the other is about the famous Burak journey. So we can read whichever one people want to hear about. But obviously the story of the Burak story is a little bit. It's not that long. It's a hadith. It's Bukhari, I believe. Wait, let me look at it. Yep, it's Bukhari. Man, everything is Bukhari. So so it's funny because when I was Muslim, like, and they said, oh, he he flew to heaven on a winged horse or donkey or whatever. I didn't
Unicorn,
believe
unicorns and mermaids,
Pegasus.
all like they're literally
Unicorns
all.
and mermaids and
Oh,
goblins. Oh my.
it's an alicorn.
Oh my gosh. Why would it be an alicorn? No, it's a Pegasus. But anyway, so the thing is that I personally, like, I didn't take that part literally, but there's lots of Muslims who are like, yes, we believe that Burak is real, is a real creature. And I find that funny because from my understanding of it, you don't actually have to believe that this is a real creature. But we can get into that if we read the story. So actually, first we're gonna read the Quran zombies because it's not that long. So there are, I believe, five instances mentioned in the Quran where the dead are brought back to life, and it's an article basically. This is in the Quran. This is not hadith, and I think all of them or most of them are in Baqarah. I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, every single one of these is in Baqarah. So that's hilarious. Actually, there's one more that's in Surat Al Imran, and another one. Yeah, but most of them are in Baqarah. So I'm gonna screen share for you, lovely folks. Where is it? And it's just so funny. Yes, I call them Quran zombies because when you say people brought back to life, that is a zombie. Come on. All right. So, so here's the 5 cases. The first one is the people of Banu Israel were killed by a thunderbolt and then brought back to life.
So the Jews were killed. Did they
I'm
brought
not
back to life?
I'm not even gonna like jump to conclusions. I mean, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but like I'm itching to because I'm like, okay, they were hit by a thunderbolt. They might have been knocked unconscious and
By Thor?
resuscitated. Like, we know that people can be resuscitated with modern medicine and CPR practices, so it's not as much of a miracle if people are supposedly like brought back to life unless they've been dead for a very long time. And we'll get into that more later. That's why they say, like, oh, Jesus' resurrection was a miracle because it was 3 days after he supposedly died. So, which is, I also think that's a myth, but whatever. So, and remember when you said, "Oh Musa, we shall never believe in you till we see Allah plainly." Then they were struck by a thunderbolt while you were looking. Then we raised you up after your death, so that you might be grateful. So it's funny. I mean, back in the day, he had no problem showing his force, showing his might, doing these quote miracles, killing people and bringing them back to death to prove his existence. Conveniently, he's decided to stop doing these things nowadays because fuck it if people want to believe or not. But it would be nice if he would prove his existence. I don't care. I don't mind getting struck.
I think they got the wrong god. I think they got the wrong god. That's Thor.
Yeah, because remember in the other one where Muhammad was afraid of wind, and he said every time there was a storm, he would get like jumpy and paranoid, and he would be afraid that the storm was gonna be the wrath of God, and if there was no lightning, he would calm down. I mean, okay. The second story is a man from Banu Israel who was murdered. This is the one the famous one getting hit with a piece of steak. Okay. The people asked Musa who the killer was. Allah ordered them to sacrifice a cow. The surah Baqarah is named after the story. Okay, a sheikh points out why it was a cow they were asked to sacrifice, not any other animal. It was because they worshipped a cow previously. So that's interesting. It's basically... Wait, let me read the rest of the paragraph. So they were asked to sacrifice a cow so that any feelings of love or honor that they might have had for the calf were completely removed. this is really, really messed up. This is twisted.
Evil.
So if a person has like feelings of reverence for a specific animal, you're telling them to brutally kill that animal so that they don't have feelings of respect or reverence for that species anymore. To show like, look, I mean, honestly, they really killed that cow for no reason, because say there are people in the world right now who do hold the cows to high regard. I mean, I don't want to misquote, but we all know the general area of people who don't eat cows or kill them because they kind of, worship them, or one of their gods, is in the shape of a cow or something. And do you think that forcing them to slaughter a cow is going to make them be like, yeah, you're right. I don't know what I was so worked up about. I don't care about these fucking cows anymore. No.
Oh,
They're going
can
to
I
be
say something?
devastated.
Can I say something? Even to this day, I've seen documentaries, or like not documentaries, but videos of like these guys who obviously worship cows or whatever. They murdered like two guys or something that were transporting cows to slaughter them, like Muslim guys. They
Damn.
killed them. That's how much they love cows, like right now, even to this day.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how they felt about them back then. Probably even stronger.
Yeah, I mean, and this story, so it says when they eventually got around to sacrificing a cow after asking too many questions. I'm sorry, but if you're trying to kill an animal that I respect and revere, of course I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to be like, "What proof do you have that God himself is ordering me to do this, to senselessly
And
kill
why
this
would God be
animal?"
so evil as to tell you to kill a cow?
Because he doesn't want any rivals, and he's threatened and intimidated by the idea of somebody liking a cow more than him. So he needs you to kill that cow to show his might. He needs the blood of the animal to be spilled. I mean, I don't know how you can think he's not satanic by this, but anyway, they were asked to
Very
strike the
satanic.
dead man with a piece of the slaughtered cow. He came back to life, mentioned who killed him,
Ew.
and then he died again. I mean, so this is really a pointless story. So they did all this. The whole point of the story was honestly to force them to kill the cow, because the part about hitting the dude with the piece of meat was irrelevant. I mean, if he really wanted to resuscitate the dude, he could have done that without needing to smack him with some dead cow body parts. But he really just used it as an excuse. Oh, the ritual will only work if you kill the cow. It was really an excuse to try to make them kill the cow, to desensitize them to liking cows, which doesn't make any sense. If I really like cats right now, I really love cats. I think they're beautiful, gorgeous creatures. I have a pet cat, and they're just fluffy and cute, and you're like, I want to detach you from liking cats so much. I want you to slit your cat's throat and sacrifice it and do all this stuff. Is that going to make me not like cats anymore? This makes so much sense.
I was just
Yeah,
thinking about
and
a
then he
verse
was like,
when you were
and then
talking about
he
that.
came back to life, and he was like, this dude killed me, and then he died again. It's completely pointless.
Oh my god, that's really the only
But
reason
killing,
he
but
they
yeah,
brought
like
him
I
back to
love
life.
how it's like oh, it was to show them not to worship the calf. Killing a cow doesn't have any connection with showing someone that they shouldn't worship something. Why? Just because you have the power to kill it. And anyway, they weren't worshiping like actual whatever. Like, it's so stupid. But like I said before, Allah must have been very, very intimidated um by the thought of them, like, you know, focusing on the cow instead of him. It's almost like he is weakened if you don't worship him. It's like he needs your worship. He
Oh my god,
desperately
yeah, he
needs it
definitely
because
he needs it. Like
he
that's why
can't,
he's making us
he gets so worked up when he
making
doesn't get it. Anyway.
he definitely needs it. Like I feel like if you don't believe in him, then he ceases to exist or something. What's that word? What's that thing that you told me that
A
one time?
tulpa. A tulpa. A tulpa is
A
something
tulpa.
that manifests through your belief in it.
Yep, that's God. I mean Allah.
So the next story, so it says, remember you killed a man and fell into dispute. So he brought forth that which you were hiding. We said, strike him with a piece of the cow. Thus he brings the dead to life and shows you his proofs, evidences, verses, lessons, signs, revelations, etc., so that you may understand. I love how they call them evidences and proofs and all this stuff. I don't see any proof. We have yet to find any proof of anything. So the
It
third,
sounds like some guy just came back to not. He wasn't completely dead. He was just like, he was dying, and then he woke up for one last time and said, "That guy killed me," and yeah, prosecute
yeah.
him or
I mean,
whatever.
yeah, it's like I said, the cow part of the story is irrelevant. If the whole point was to find the murderer, that could have been done. But like this whole kill a cow was just an unnecessary extra part to basically try to manipulate those people into worshiping their. I mean, obviously, like I don't believe this story actually happened. Definitely don't believe it actually happened. It's just one more myth, one more
Yeah.
little like old story to try to make, oh, this was a miracle, blah blah blah. So the third thing is those who went forth from their homes and were caused to die. Damn. Did you, O Muhammad, not think of those who went forth from their homes in thousands, fearing death? Allah said to them, die, and then he restored them to life. Truly, Allah is full of bounty to mankind, but most men think not. Why would I thank you if you just killed thousands of people and brought them back to life and made thousands of zombies for no good reason? I'm gonna be like, thank you so much. You just killed us all. I mean, doesn't he sound like a big kid with a magnifying glass on an anthill, toying with people's lives for no good reason, or playing
Yep.
with the Sims through with a game like these people mean nothing. They're insignificant ants. He doesn't care about you. If Allah was real, he wouldn't. Oh, he's not a loving God. He doesn't care about anyone but himself, because guess what? He only cares about you when you worship him. That's not love. That's selfishness. So anyway, I mean, oh, they came out of their homes in the thousands. I mean, paint this in any scenario. How is this a merciful God? He said, die, and they all dropped dead, and then he came back to life. If you walked outside and you just dropped dead and came back to life, you're gonna go look to the heavens and be like, thank you. No, I'm gonna be very
You brought me
suspicious of
back to
that
life.
character from then on. I mean, that's fear and intimidation tactics. That's not proof and love and mercy. That's like, oh, you brought me back to life. Thanks. Please don't kill me again. I totally worship you out of fear that you're gonna kill me again.
I mean, that's the whole thing for Allah, though, that you have to fear Him.
Yeah. Oh,
I
this
was
is like one
actually
of my
watching
favorite stories. The
a
fourth one, I'll
video.
read it in a second.
I was watching one of these videos of a Muslimah, and she was saying types of men that you shouldn't marry, and then she kept, but the stuff that she was talking about marriage, but she was talking about like fear of God. Like you can't be with a guy who's not a Muslim. He doesn't fear God. He doesn't fear blah blah blah. And then she said, and the second type of man that she shouldn't be with is a man who is not very religious. Like he's
So
Muslim, but he's
basically,
not.
you just like discounted like 2/3. Like actually had like,
Basically,
the people who are not Muslim, which is like a vast majority, and then the people who aren't even super religious, which is another huge chunk. So all you're left with is very, very religious dudes. Ew.
which are who are scary, by the way.
Yeah, that's no, that's disgusting. I mean, when you think of very strictly religious men, like it's not a fun time.
She wouldn't
Like,
even
who
be
wants
able
to
to
marry
upload
them?
that YouTube video, like if she
Oh
was married.
yeah, if she was married to a very, very religious dude, maybe she would be singing a different tune.
They fantasize about these men.
Oh, of course.
They're like, I want a man who's handsome, and religious and faithful to God.
But I mean, this is the type of thing I'm saying. How can you have I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it or whatever back when I was Muslim, but it's a strange thought, like hijabi YouTuber. Like this is I mean, there's a ton of them, but what I'm saying is I remember I was watching this video. I don't remember if it was like Ali Dawa Dawa Man, whatever. One of them said, you know, Muslim women, modest Muslim women shouldn't be like making videos and being in the public eye, because I remember, this one dude told me that he fapped to a hijabi YouTuber one time. He jacked off like watching her because she was so beautiful, and he was like, that's her fault for putting her beautiful face out there. And this just proves, like, I'm sorry, the beauty is not only in the hair, but
Yes.
that's like
Her
if she was
face.
to be a niqabi, they would be like, her eyes are beautiful. Let me fap to that. Like the moment that people stop putting the target on the women's beauty as the problem, as the root of the man's problem for not being able to control himself, then maybe we'll make some real progress. But
Yep.
but it's funny because there are a ton of hijabi YouTubers, and they don't think to themselves like, "Oh, I'm not going to do it on the off chance that some." They don't even imagine that some guy is trolling through their stuff, jacking off or whatever, which is weird. Like that's some very specific type of porn. But whatever floats your boat. I think this was a Muslim dude though, a Muslim dude who fapped to this hijabi girl, and that brings up the other point. Remember how the Muslim boys used to say, "I actually think that a girl in hijab is more beautiful than a girl who shows her hair." I'm like, isn't that kind of
Yep.
counterproductive? If you think she's more beautiful, then
Exactly.
stop wearing hijab, because the point is not to attract you. But if you get more sexually aroused when you see a woman in hijab, that is completely the opposite of what you claim that your goal is by having them wear that.
They're attracted to the fact that, like, not the fact, but like they imagine her being like a virgin who never did anything, and she's, a good girl, and she'll listen to him when she's his wife and be obedient and raise his children, and like they have like fantasies, man.
Yeah, yeah. And the problem is that when they get married and all these fantasies turn out to be unreal, and
Then
it's
they
on
start
both
cheating on
sides.
their wives
Women
and living.
Muslim women are told all of these, myths and unrealistic expectations to have of a good Muslim man, mashallah, when you meet a good Muslim brother. And then men have the same thing, where they're told, everything is going to be peaches and cream when they get with a good Muslim woman. And then they marry someone, and they move in and live together. And then they realize, hey, guess what? It doesn't matter if we're both Muslim, because there's a lot more that goes into a relationship than just having the same religion. That has nothing to do with whether we're compatible as a couple, whether our attraction is there, whether our physical compatibility, our emotional and mental compatibility, our intellectual compatibility, or just everything that goes into living with someone and being in a real marriage. People have these fairy tale ideals that they think are going to happen. And unfortunately, these ideals are like promoted by the sheikhs and the imams in the masjids, who are like, hey, I'm going to pair you up with another dude from the masjid. I mean, right now, if a girl wants to get married, she's like, she tells her dad, and her dad goes and talks with the imam, and the imam's like, mashallah, I got a nice Muslim brother. I got a couple nice Muslim brothers lined up for your daughter, mashallah. She's 16. That's all good. I got a 35-year-old man over here. I'm gonna hook her up. Mashallah, he's already established. He got a career and a house and everything. Yeah, he's a grown ass man. He wants to start his family. He wants her to start popping out babies. He doesn't want her to go to school and finish her education.
Of course.
He's trying to get it started.
I mean, I had an experience with this before, and I think I mentioned it before, where my mom, she wanted me to get married to this guy,
Me
and
too.
I
I
remember
was
they used to.
16 and my dad brought me this 25-year-old man, and I was like, he's young, but I'm too young for him. I'm 16. I'm not even thinking of dudes. I'm not even thinking of marriage. And he said,
Exactly.
I'm trying to have kids already. And I was like,
Yeah,
I ain't trying to have kids. I am way too young to be having. I want to finish my education. I want to do things in my life. Y'all bringing me all these dudes because I turned 16, and not because I told you that I was emotionally mature enough and physically mature enough that I wanted that. And it's like they're so paranoid that you're going to go off and get a boyfriend that they're like, let me preempt you in your physical and sexual maturity and try to force you into thinking about dudes and marriage way before you're ready.
And then the problem is that they fight so hard for you not to think about boys, and then in a split second they want you to think about boys and to think about a specific boy or
Yeah, they
man.
want you to think about
um
men, grown men and marriage, not, where the rest of your peers and your classmates would just be thinking about, like, liking boys. They want you to be like full blown married with a grown ass man. I mean, it's too
yeah.
much. You're making this leap from being completely single, virginal, innocent, don't know nothing about the world, don't know nothing about relationships and personality types and different men and how they act and anything at all. There's not a training course for this that they go through. It's like you're just thrown into this full-blown relationship, full marriage, housewife role, and it's rough. But you're supposed to stay with
Yeah,
them, and divorce is a taboo, and you know, it's
I remember my mom and my aunt, they would tell me, they would tell me, oh, he wants you like to continue your education, blah 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 blah. I'm like, I don't give a shit, like, because I'm not gonna marry him. But they
it's like,
kept
of
saying
course
that,
not.
and
Of
then
course he doesn't.
I heard them later on talking about, like, my aunt was talking about her son wants to get married, and then she said, I said, I don't know, it was something about like her studying or something, and then my aunt was like, oh, he doesn't want a woman that's studying and whatever. What man wants that? He wants a woman to he wants to marry her and have children. Like, he doesn't have time for her to continue 4 years or like 5 years of school. Was he going to be married to her that whole time and not have babies?
But you know what's really
And I was like, okay, well,
um
yeah,
is like there are a lot of old classmates that we had who really did go to college and finish their studies, and then the girls, they went got married and became housewives. And it's like,
yeah,
you got a degree just to become a
for
housewife.
nothing.
And I mean, that's fine, but it's almost like, what was the point in even getting your degree, because you're not planning on having a job ever. um
You know why? You know why? It's because it's like this weird thing where, like,
it's like
they
bragging
would have
rights or
much.
something.
Yeah, like, I'll tell you what it is. It's like this. It's like so that nobody asks them later on, like, especially if they got married young. They don't want anybody to ask them, oh, did you like finish your education? Did you blah blah? They just want to finish it as
Yeah.
quickly as possible and then get married and then have babies,
That's
and
even
that's
worse
it.
too, because they'll be like skipping grades in high school, getting really high grades, finishing high school a year or two early, going in college, finishing a 4-year degree in 3 years or even 2 years, and getting like a really high level education or a decent level education. And as soon as they finish, like as soon as they graduate, it's like, no, I'm not going to get a job and a career. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have babies. And then it's so sad to me personally to see. I mean, if that's genuinely what they want, then that's fine for them. If they're satisfied and content, I feel like a lot of times they might not genuinely be satisfied, but they have to put up a front. But, honestly, no one can really know what they're thinking except them. But I have a suspicion that, how can you be satisfied when you didn't get to live, you didn't get to have experiences, you just like studied night and day, got your degree, and then got married, and you're pregnant instantly. I mean, do you remember that girl who, like, she was in our class, and
Hmm.
she skipped grades, she got her degree super fast, and then she was in someone else's graduation picture, like super pregnant. And it was like,
Yeah, yeah, I remember her.
is that what you wanted? Is that what all of your hard work was for? Doing
I
homework,
mean,
like
it
staying up
doesn't make any
late
sense.
to
It
get this
sounds to
degree really
me,
fast.
yeah, it sounds to me like what maybe their parents pushed them really hard to skip grades and so they can finish earlier. So by the time, a normal person would finish high school at, like, I don't know, 18 or even 19 sometimes, depending on their birthday. And it's like they're finishing high school when they're 16, and then they're already in university, And actually, remember the half college, half high school thing? So they're actually getting
Yeah,
college credits while they're in high school. So
exactly my
then by the
point.
time that
They
they're
have these
done, yeah,
programs,
so
these
like they're
expedited degree
20.
programs.
They're 20 when they're done. They're
Hmm.
20 when they're done with their education, and then they're like, boom, baby time. Baby time. Get
Marriage
that
time.
D. Yeah,
And
I mean,
it's
because they don't want to be too old. Like, being like 22 or 23 is kind of old for the Arab community, Muslim people community,
yeah,
Muslim people
true.
community. That's
I
a
mean,
thing.
luckily, I'm not saying that all of them obviously do this thing, but in the ones that we were exposed to, that we
Yeah, the ones that
met personally
we,
and stuff,
yeah,
it is it's such a strange thing of how the families have to have this bragging right. Oh, my daughter got a degree or whatever. But I mean,
and then and
I don't know
then
what's the point if she's
they
if
don't do
she's
anything
just
with it.
at home, taking care of babies and just being a housewife. I don't see what was the point in getting that degree, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, I
Anyway,
know so many girls. I know so many girls that got degrees, and it just makes me sad. Like,
yeah,
not that they got degrees, but it makes me sad that they're married and then
that they
they
didn't
go
do
and
anything
move,
with it.
like they
Well,
they
you know
they
what
move
else is
away
sad is
from
like
their
when they
families.
get married and have a baby immediately, instead of like getting to know the
Yeah.
guy and uh living in their marriage for like a year or two at least before like getting pregnant, because a lot of them get pregnant like immediately. And if I'm not mistaken, birth control contraception is discouraged. I'm not going to say that it's straight up haram because some people don't believe that it's haram, but it's not encouraged. Fertility and procreation is encouraged. Having kids, because there's so many like hadith. Oh, it's sunnah. It's a good thing to have. Well, I don't know if it's sunnah, but it's a good thing to have kids. Because then you can have your kids as a blessing, to use them as a way to spread Islam, basically, because the logic is that if you're a Muslim and you have 5 kids, then you just created 5 new Muslims. And that really is the logic. That
Yep.
really is what they think. They don't think for a second. No one has kids assuming like, hey, my kid is going to leave Islam. My kid is not going to believe in God. Like they don't think that. So
Yeah.
so it
And
kind of
I feel
comes with a.
especially bad when they have daughters.
Mm,
Not because I don't like girls, but I'm saying because they're, oh my God, their lives are not going to be good. Like, I have a friend, she has a son and a daughter. And one time she said, oh, she told me that her daughter is really good at dancing naturally. And I
mm.
said, why don't you put her in like ballet or gymnastics or something? And she said, no, 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 no. I don't want her to like dancing. Like, if she likes it, then she's gonna have to wear those dresses and stuff and blah blah blah. And I'm like, she's a baby. Like, she's little. It doesn't matter. But I think she's more worried about as she gets older, she's gonna want to still be a ballet dancer, therefore like having to wear those little tutus and things like this. But her son, he can do whatever he wants. So I feel really bad when you know these women that I grew up with have daughters, because I know what their life is going to be like. They're going to be even It's going to be even more strict than their own lives, because a lot of these girls, they had a lot of freedom in comparison to me, at least. And but they just decided to be really Islamic. It's weird.
Hey, I'm gonna
I guess, yeah. Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna just bring up this little thing, this little comment that Muslim made in the chat. He
Okay, sure.
said, actually, in the Hadith, it says every soul to be born is destined to be born. And I'm glad you brought that up, because the 3-year-old boy whose mom brought her boyfriend into the house and he brutally raped and murdered the 3-year-old boy. Was he born just to live a short life and die in misery and pain? Um, you know, how does that help him? What is the purpose of that? How is that a just God? How is that a merciful God to create this boy to live his life short and die painfully? Is that a
I mean,
good?
because it is written in the books. Remember,
Yeah, this was
that boy
pre-written.
was
This was a
literally
plan.
born.
He was destined to
Yeah.
die brutally. Um, the
Yep.
2-year-old North Korean girl who died of starvation slowly. She was written up and planned to die in pain.
Yeah.
She was destined to be born just to live an incredibly short life and a life of poverty and misery.
And
So,
there, I saw a
I
story
mean, how
recently
is
of
that
a mother who
okay?
killed her
How it was
children.
your destiny to live for only 2 years? What kind of destiny is that? Like, what are you saying? I mean, this is a person whose life is so short that it's impossible that they have done anything wrong to deserve that. So good job.
Yeah.
Their consolation prize is that they get to go to heaven. But what's the point of them suffering to begin with? Is that really necessary? No, it's actually not necessary. It's not necessary at all because it wasn't a test for her. She wasn't being tested. She was a baby, basically. And when babies suffer for no reason, not that there could ever be a reason, but like you can't justify that.
Yeah. Did you hear about that woman who killed her children and claimed that her oldest children raped their little brother, which she had a daughter, 13-year-old daughter, and a 9-year-old boy from two,
I
like
remember
she had
that.
two, yeah, and she had them from two baby daddies, you know? And the whole time she was justifying it as, like, saying, oh, they raped my child, whatever, blah blah, but she was abusing that child that she was trying to protect, supposedly. So I'm thinking, like, was that little girl born to live, just to live a miserable life with her demented, mentally ill mother, and then be put into a freezer with her little, actually her little brother was murdered first, the 9-year-old was murdered first, and then she was murdered and put in the freezer, and the little boy was in the freezer for a whole year before she murdered the other kid. And I suspect that if she hadn't been caught, she would have murdered the kid that she supposedly was trying to protect from the older children.
So wait, did you say the one kid was in the freezer for a year?
For an entire year. And they
What the
weren't in
hell?
school. They weren't in school. They were like, nobody checked up on them, nothing like that. They were
Yeah.
just in constant misery. Like, is that fair? Like, I highly doubt that the little 13-year-old girl did anything to her little brother. And if she did do anything to her little brother, that's because she was probably being molested or something weird happened to her. Because there's no way that children just do weird things like that by themselves, especially sexual things. They would have to have been touched. And since she already has two baby daddies, I'm guessing she probably brought a lot of men around. So it could have been possible that a man did that to her son or whatever, if she really truly believes that happened, which I highly doubt. But I'm saying the whole point of this whole story is there are a lot of people who live miserable lives, and literally, if we go by Islam, that means that they were literally created, and their stories were written that way, and they had no chance, and there's no free will, and every choice that they made was already pre-written a long time ago. Everything that I'm saying right now is actually pre-written. Like, if we look at Islam, like
Yeah,
everything that I'm doing,
yeah,
every
but
movement.
if you follow Islam exactly, and that in itself is saying, I'm sorry, but you don't have free will. You cannot argue that people have free will if your stuff is predetermined. And we went over this last time that I pulled up a hadith that said that not only do is everything pre-written, but you can't deviate from the plan even if you tried. Um, and in that way, you do not have free will because every move you make is predetermined. You cannot have free will with it's not just
So how can anyone go, there's no free will? Illusion of written a million years ago. Then these are just little mini stories, like, for Allah. He was like, I have to every scenario, right? So I'm gonna make one person super rich and have an amazing life with minimal problems, and I'm gonna make another person have a miserable, horrible life, and in different situations. So it's like half the people, not half the people, probably majority of the people living horrible lives, and then whoever he chooses has like a good life. Anyways, I went on a rant, but that's because I watched that thing like
it's all
3 days
good.
ago.
Yeah.
It makes me
Yeah.
really mad when I see stuff like that,
I mean this
with
this
children.
this free will thing has been has been talked about for years and years, for hundreds of years, like this paradox, if you will, but it just leads to the same conclusion. And anyone who, you know, kind of ignores that is just being dishonest with themselves. So, I don't know. Like I can keep reading these things because it's
Go
still
ahead.
up. So we were talking about that freaking cow story. It was crazy. All right. The one who was caused to die for 100 years. This is a funny one. You might have heard this one before, right? The guy who
Yeah.
passed by a town and it tumbled over its roofs. He said, "Oh, how will Allah ever bring it to life after its death?" That's a weird question because it was an abandoned building and like it's not even a living creature. But okay. So Allah caused him to die for 100 years, then raised him up again.
What?
Oh my gosh, this story is so ridiculous because there's two. Let's just imagine that there's two possibilities. That there's two alternate universes where the story is taking place, and in one universe, the guy really does die for 100 years, and in the other universe, he falls asleep and has a very deep sleep and wakes up and has a hallucination of someone talking to him. Okay, and he
Oh, can I
hallucinates
say something?
the voice of God.
Isn't one day in heaven or whatever like 100 years or something?
Yeah.
Maybe he was sleeping in heaven or something.
Okay. So Allah said He caused him to die for 100 years and raised him up again, and
Oh my God,
He
Aang,
said
is that you?
He said no, he's Captain America. He's freaking Steve. He said, "How long did you remain dead?" So God asked him, "How long or have you been dead for?" He said, perhaps a day or part of a day." Then God said to him, "No, you've actually been dead for 100 years. Look
But
at your."
that's because God. But that's because God. One day on Earth is like a
Oh, it's
hundred
a
years or
hundred years
something.
to. What's the
No, it's the
opposite?
opposite.
Yeah.
My bad.
So
Oops.
anyway, he says, "You've actually been dead for 100 years. Look at your food and your drink. They show no change. Wouldn't it be more evidence if they did show change, like 100 years of decay, or that they were gone completely?" Okay.
Oh my God, I'm
Look
so
at your
sorry. This
food
is some
and your
bullshit.
drink, they show no change. And look at your donkey. And thus we have. He says, "Look at your donkey," but then that's it.
Why
He
would
doesn't
why
tell
why
you
would the
if the
donkey
donkey's
still be
alive or
alive?
not. Exactly. And thus we have made of you a sign for the people. Look at the bones, how we bring them together and clothe them with flesh. When this was clearly shown to him, aka when he had a fever dream in the desert, and hallucination, he said, "I know that now that Allah is able to do all things." So this is actually a really funny story because it would have made more sense if he woke up and saw everything around him was aged 100 years. But no, he saw that everything was the same as it was when he fell asleep, and he took that as proof that he had been dead for 100 years. How does this story make any sense? How does anyone convinced by this story? Well,
Yeah.
actually, the only one who's convinced by the story is the guy in the story who says, "Wow, you're so right." I mean, this
Oh my
dude
God.
sounds like he
Wait,
was
wait, wait.
tripping. This dude
Let me.
sounds like he
Yeah.
was high as hell, and
Oh my
this
God. Oh my God.
reverse logic made sense to him.
Wait. He sounds like that guy. What's his name? Greg or something. That's like married to Haley from American Dad. He's like, dude, like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's so
What's his name? What's
funny.
his name? What's his name? Greg or
It is
something?
a
No.
prank. It's like he didn't even kill. Let's say he didn't even kill him for 100 years. He wakes up and he goes, "You've been." He said, and then I love how he says, "How long were you dead?" Nah, you was sleeping. How so? I slept for a day. So he feels as if he only slept for a day, and then the voice tells him, "No, actually, it was 100 years. Even though everything around you is the same as it was when you fell asleep, and you just have to take my word for it that it was 100 years." I can't with this guy.
Yeah.
The four birds. Oh my
Off
gosh,
topic, can
this.
I just say something?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So I had an appointment, right? And the person was like 15 minutes late, and then they start calling,
Oh.
and yeah, and I'm sitting here like thinking in my head, do you really think I'm gonna answer? It's over.
Oh yeah, because they were late.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's their
I don't
fault.
understand. Like if you if
That's
I
their
have it,
fault for
like,
being
okay,
late.
you have to be punctual. Like,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
here. Even though I wasn't even gonna answer, but it was so convenient.
Oh,
But anyways,
wow.
nobody understands what I'm talking about.
It's all good.
That's great.
So anyway, um this is check this shit out. This is absolutely crazy. This one is supposed to be proof. I mean, this just goes to show you how little actual proof and investigation these people do in these old stories. Okay, so it says, remember when Ibrahim said, "My Lord, show me how you give life to the dead." And Allah speaking directly to him, because Ibrahim had some very strong ears and his brain wouldn't explode and his ears wouldn't bleed when Allah was talking to him directly, even though Muhammad was like a weak, shrimpy little bitch, so he needed Gabriel to talk to him because he couldn't take Allah's voice. So Allah said directly to Ibrahim with no no medium, "Do you not believe?" So Ibrahim said, yes, I do believe, but to be stronger in faith. So actually, I don't believe. I need you to prove it to me. This, I mean, he starts out sounding like a smart dude. Can you give me a little bit of proof for your claims? Then he said, so God says to him, take 4 birds, then cause them to incline towards you. So basically catch 4 birds, trap them, whatever. Then slaughter them, cut them into pieces. God, this is just barbaric. Cut the 4 birds up into tiny little pieces and then put a portion of them on every hill and call them. They will come to you in haste. And know that Allah is almighty, all wise. So this, I mean, it's so complicated. He's like, you gotta chop the birds up into little pieces and then mix up their guts and their body parts, and then you gotta scatter them across the 4 hills, and then run off to a different place, and then 4 birds will come to you. How? When did he mark the birds so he knew that those were the same birds that he cut up? Where's the part of the story where he goes back to the hills and finds that the body parts are not still there?
Because dogs and other animals fucking ate them?
No, but it doesn't even say that the body parts weren't there. So
Man,
he
like
has
a
no
really
way
bad
of knowing.
fanfic, man. I swear to God,
This
is
is
like a
proof to
bad
him,
fanfic,
but
and
he has no way of knowing that those birds that he called to him were the same birds that he caught initially. So basically, he just killed 4 birds for no reason, called some birds using the same method that he did earlier to call birds, because it says right there he called some birds. So he has the power to, call birds or whatever.
Man, I wish I could call some birds. I would be Cinderella.
Like a princess. Oh my gosh, Ibrahim is a fairy tale princess. First original Disney princess.
That's where Cinderella got it. He had it first.
Oh man. So I mean, really it seems like he killed 4 birds for no reason, and he left their rotting carcasses in the sun, and then he called 4 different birds. So there were 8 birds in total, and it was just like a magic trick. It was really a magic trick, because Allah, basically made him go through all of these motions when he could have just said, hey, kill a bird in front of you, don't let it out of your sight, watch it, cut it up, and I will reassemble it in front of your eyes. But no, he couldn't do that. How come Allah couldn't do that? But he had to have all these steps and tricks where he had to go and scatter the slaughtered birds and the blood sacrifices. And yet again, I mean, it just shows how much of a pagan god Allah really is.
Oh my God, he's so pagan. Oh, like everything about him is pagan. Nothing wrong with being a pagan, though. Just it's just pagan, though. Like you can't claim to be an Abrahamic religion and be pagan. Yeah.
So anyway, it says, interestingly, the ayahs, blah, 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 this doesn't actually matter. So haven't you looked at him who disputed with Ibrahim about his Lord because Allah gave him the kingdom, when Ibrahim said to him, Allah is he who gives life and causes death. He said, so then the king said, I give life and cause death. So then Ibrahim said,
wait. Who's Zubaydah's real husband? Is that
Answer?
Answer? Ah,
You recognize his little picture?
hi.
Yeah. You didn't know
Yes, I
that.
recognize the picture. I mean, I just didn't get like I thought it was a girl like because it was like Zaveda, and I was just looking at the first part, and then I was like, real husband. Oh, it's a dude. My bad. Yeah, I didn't read the whole thing. Hi, we missed you.
1 second, I'm replying to this.
Okay. How's it going?
Girl. Oh man. Anyway. So yeah, he got into this argument with this king dude. He said, God is the one who gives life and causes death. He said, okay, that's nothing special. I can do that too. I'm a human. I can give life and cause death. And of course, we all know the story about how he causing death is easy. Anyone can do that. Giving life, he was saying, if you say you're going to kill someone and then you let them go, you just gave them life. And then of course there's the obvious one where
Yeah.
a mom gives birth to a baby. That seems to be more convincing. But anyway, he's like, all right then, you since you since you basically challenged that claim, I'm gonna move the goalpost and make a completely different claim. Well, God is the one who causes the sun to rise from the east. So if you're more powerful than him, then you have to cause it to rise from the west. So the disbeliever was utterly defeated.
Oh,
And
Dragon Ball Z moment.
KO, finish him. he was he was just shocked. He said, "I don't even have anything to say to that. You just destroyed my entire argument. I can't make the sun rise from the west. Therefore, Allah exists."
Boom, 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 boom. Da 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 dum.
Yeah. Amazingly enough, this ayah also talks about life and death. This should be enough to disprove those disbelievers who say that the Quran has no structure and no theme. The king claimed he could bring the dead back to life.
It really doesn't have a fucking structure. It talks about random shit.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't have
it
a good
jumps
structure.
all over the place.
Modern day, like what is it? Script writers or whatever can make a better Quran than Allah did. Like for real. I mean, people make whole entire worlds. Like creative people make entire worlds and create them and animate them and or have a movie with real actors and stuff, and it's better. Like they will even have their own mythology, and they'll even go into detail about it, and you can't find any fault. Like sometimes you can't find any fault in their universes, like the rules that they
Oh
created for their
yeah, I know
universe.
what you mean. And they have in teams of writers who make sure that their story has no plot holes and that it's seamless. And
Yeah,
honestly, Allah needed a couple of writers to help him out because his
editors.
his book has so many plot holes.
Yep.
But so he said, "Make Esau a messenger to the children of Israel. I have come to you with a sign from your Lord that I designed for you out of clay, as it were the figure of a bird, and breathe into it, and it becomes a bird. And I heal him who was born blind and the leper, and I bring the dead to life by Allah's leave." So they're saying that Jesus used to bring the dead to life, not just himself, but well, actually, Muslims don't believe that Jesus came back to life. But he used to bring other people back to life. So Jesus was just running around making zombies left and right. And I inform you of what you eat and what you store in your houses. Okay, is that a miracle? I tell you what you eat and what you keep in your house. Surely therein is a sign for you if you believe. It's only a sign if you believe it. Like, so then it's not a sign. Anyway. I don't know if we gotta keep reading this. Yeah, that's basically the same thing. The disbelievers said this is nothing but evident magic. Good job, smart disbelievers. Spoke to the people in the cradle and in maturity, taught you writing, brought you books. You healed the blind and the lepers, and you raised the dead. I mean, it's funny because he's saying Jesus raised the dead, But then he's like, we don't want to give Jesus too much power. We don't want them to think that he actually did it. You know, technically it was my permission, but I couldn't do it without him. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that God can't do. Actually, everything God can't do. Oh, I don't do nothing.
Yeah.
So anyway,
God really did not like the children of Israel, apparently, because he kept sending them like messengers and stuff. Like,
so that's the end of that little article. It was basically talking about at least 5 different instances of people getting resurrected, aka zombies, or vampires, or the undead, or whatever you want to call them. And also, you know,
vampires.
Muslims
Ooh.
claim that there's no reincarnation, and you know, the concept of heaven, like I was saying earlier, is kind of reincarnation, because reincarnation is being brought back to life in another form. And if you're in the form that we mentioned earlier, the form that you are in heaven, where you're almost like a different person, yeah, you're being reincarnated. Sorry.
Yeah, that is reincarnation. Holy fuck. But I think they mean like the reincarnation the way that some other people believe it, where you die and then you come back as like an animal or something if you lived a horrible life or did something bad. Not a horrible life, but if you did bad things.
Can you see this?
I can see it, yeah. The prophet said, is that the one?
Yeah. Everything starts with the prophet said. Oh my gosh, I love this story. All right. So we're probably going to get through this story, and then like we might take a question and end it, cuz it's actually getting kind of long. It's almost 2 hours.
Yeah, and I have to go out.
Yeah, that was fast. Like I can't believe it was already almost 2 hours. It didn't feel like
Yeah.
it. So this is the famous flying horse unicorn Pegasus pony story. So exciting. But it's a donkey. It's a winged donkey. Let's just be real. All right. We're going to read this with completely open minds. Psych. Prophet said,
My Little Pony. Sorry.
while I was at the house in a state midway between sleep and wakefulness. All right, that's the first thing. That's the first clue. He admits that he was sleeping. He doesn't say, oh, I was totally fully awake. He admits that he was sleeping. I mean, and even if you call it, oh, midway between sleep and wakefulness, like you were asleep, you were drifting off to sleep, you were, yeah, like lucid dreaming. You felt that you were, you know, in a dream, and you were starting to fall asleep. So, you know, he doesn't claim that he woke up. And so when I was a Muslim, when I read the story, I assumed that he was asleep, dreaming, but it wasn't a dream. It was like they took his soul but left his body, and he was astral traveling with the angel. Like that was my understanding of it. But these Muslims nowadays were like, no, he was fully awake and he left the tent completely and he was flying on a real life winged donkey. And I'm like, it's
oh my
right.
God.
The way out is right there.
The world, shining, shimmering, splendid.
Like
tell me Prince now.
Okay.
No, tell me Muhammad now.
I mean, he really...
I granted you a unicorn.
I mean the way out is it's right there. A Muslim does not have to say that they believe in winged donkeys, that they're real. They can just be like, no, you don't understand. He was asleep. I don't understand why they don't say this, but you know, if they want to make themselves look ridiculous by claiming that they believe winged donkeys are real, I mean, it's no more ridiculous than saying that jinns are real. So, you know, why not? So anyway, he was in a state between sleep and wakefulness, an angel recognized him as the man lying between 2 men. Wait, what? Yo, why was he between 2 men? He recognized him as the man lying between 2 men. What? Okay. So anybody who want to jump in on his gay tendencies? He was just innocently sleeping with 2 men.
Didn't I tell you that the reason why he had to have so many wives was because he was low-key gay and he wanted to show everybody else that he wasn't gay, so he had to get all the women that he could possibly get a young one, an old one, a Jewish one, all types of ones. Christian one, I don't know if he ever had one. Old, short, tall, dark, pale,
yeah,
Asian, I don't know.
Yeah, to have the diversity because he was like, I just gotta prove it. I like women of all shapes and sizes and ages. Wink, wink. But like,
but why was Aisha his favorite? Because she was like a little boy. Because she's a little girl, and little girls and little boys are like very similar.
Oh my goodness! All right, let's keep reading. So an angel saw him as the man lying between two men. A golden tray full of wisdom and belief was brought to him. Interesting. That belief is a part of it. I mean, wisdom, that makes sense. He needed some wisdom, but belief was brought to him on a tray. And his body was cut open from the throat to the lower part of the abdomen. So like Jack the Ripper style, like straight down the middle, pop him open. Ew. Yeah, I'm sorry. Do Muslims believe that his body was cut open? This was clearly a fever dream. This was clearly a dream.
He said
a vivid
actually Khadija was his favorite
dream.
He said, this
y'all
guy
think
said that Khadija was his favorite.
Whatever.
He had two favorites though.
Yeah.
He had the oldest one that was like his mom.
It was his first.
And the youngest one.
That's why he liked her.
That was his first
she
lady.
took his V card.
But Aisha is also one of his favorites.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, you can have more than one favorite.
Time. I mean,
like it's not like What? You're gonna show me something?
It was narrated from Aisha that the Messenger of Allah forbade celibacy. He was like, "You're not allowed to say no to me." Yeah, she was his favorite.
Yeah, she was his favorite because he even took the rights of his other wife.
Yeah, because the other wife was like, "Oh, I'm old. I can't really have sex no more. She can take my day." And she was like, "Oh, no."
What if she did that on purpose? She was like, "I am so tired of..."
I know, right? Over exaggerating her age. She just didn't want to deal with him anymore. And his shrimpy dick flip flopping. Sorry. I'm gonna stop. What I meant was she didn't want to lay with him. So she was like,
it makes me suspect something. Okay,
like, but wait, when he always says, "Oh, I can go to multiple wives in one night," but yet there's a hadith talking about how each wife had a day, so they didn't share him. It's like, oh, I go to one. There's 7 days in the week. I go to one wife each night. So from his perspective, oh, that's all fine. He can have every single day. But for them, that's really unfair. Because if they actually liked him, they could only be with their man one night out of the week. And they have to share him with all these other women. I'm sorry, but that's BS. Women.
He had 11 wives, so how was he able to have
11 days in the week? And please, you're gonna tell me that he went with one and then he went and made ghusl and then he went to the next one and then he made ghusl every time? I mean, that's actually believable because he had OCD, so he was constantly trying to clean himself.
You said that she was 18 when he died, and then he forbade anybody to ever marry his widows. So therefore, defeating the purpose of him, the justification for him marrying so many women, because how he said that he married them because he wanted to help the widows and whatever, blah blah. Also, can I ask a question? Did he ever marry a widow with children? Because I've never heard of that. Did any of his did any of his widow wives,
stepchildren? Yeah, they would have had a bunch of hadiths about stepchildren. He specifically wanted women that didn't have children because he couldn't deal with kids.
So therefore, like, how's that?
I mean, he couldn't deal with kids unless it was his wife. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's a good thing he said that because he didn't. Because then he wouldn't have molested all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, because if he had like a bunch of little girls from his wives, he probably would molest them. He would probably divorce his wife to marry. He would probably divorce his wife to marry
her daughter, and then make up a freaking revelation about how Allah said it was okay because, you know, they're not really your daughter, just like how an adopted son is not really your son. So it's okay to marry his wife. It's okay to
He
marry
got
your
his fucking
stepdaughter.
adopted son to divorce his wife to take her. Like, whoa, man, that is fucking horrible.
Anyway,
Like
let's keep reading this little
that.
story. Okay. So his body was cut open Jack the Ripper style from the throat to the bottom of the abdomen. I'm sorry, but this was a dream. He was not awake for this. All right. And then his abdomen was washed with Zemzem water, of course, because that water is magical. And his heart was filled with wisdom and belief. So, you know, he didn't believe before, but he had to have an angel physically implant belief into his heart. Uh, think about that. Prophet himself, who supposedly believes, had to have belief implanted. That's not
So
suspicious. All right,
do they
bro.
expect that? Why do they expect us to believe?
Right? The
We
common
need
man
to
is supposed to
have that
believe,
shit.
but he had belief like, you know, directly implanted, like heroin straight to the vein. Like put it in.
Oh my god.
He had to have it implanted. Okay. So al burak, a white animal, gotta be white. That's how you know something is pure. It's white. Smaller than a mule and bigger than a donkey. There you go. So it was a donkey. It
So
wasn't a horse.
so it's a donkey that's bigger than a donkey.
Yeah. So smaller than a mule,
It's
bigger
a
than a
pony.
donkey. So
It's a
it's a
pony.
donkey. It's a big donkey. Yeah, whatever. Was brought to me. I set up with Gabriel when I reached the gate. And then after this, honestly, everything gets boring. The only interesting part is when his abdomen gets cut open, and then he flies on the animal. After that, it's just a bunch of boring stuff about how he goes to heaven and he talks to a bunch of people,
That
and
sounds
they say
really
the same shit over
similar
and over
to a
again.
torture thing. That sounds to a torture technique that the Vikings
Yeah,
had,
I
where
mean,
they
how do
cut
we
up
just
people.
glaze over? He was cut from the throat to the abdomen, and then he woke up with no scars and there was no blood anywhere, and people were like, "Yeah, yeah, that actually happened." No, it was clearly a dream.
Why did they entertain this insane human being?
Why did they entertain this dream as reality? Like, there's people alive today who believe that the Borak is a real animal. That is a
He
creature.
told Zayd he told Zayd to stay with Zaynab, but guess what? Zayd, he probably, he's like, oh my god, that's like he's like my adoptive father, and he's like this important respected person, so therefore I'm gonna give him my wife. Just because, first of all, he shouldn't have even said it. Like, Muhammad should have never even had the idea to take his wife in the first place, or even say it to him. So of course, in that position, being, that he's not his real son, he's gonna feel like, if I
Yeah,
don't
I
do
mean, all
this,
that is an
he's gonna
example of
disconnect me.
manipulative language.
Manipulation.
Exactly.
Yep.
I mean, that's even
I
worse
do.
if he
I
told
want
him,
your wife.
if he
I
supposedly,
want your wife,
I
but
want your wife, but
sorry.
it's okay, you can keep her. It's like, no, 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 messenger of God himself. Like, how can I say no to you? This has happened so many times where he tried to play the innocent, as if like, no, it's not me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, well, if you insist, I guess I'll take your wife. It's all good.
I feel so bad for the adopted son. Like, what if he was in love with her or something? Like, he actually loved her because he only had one wife. He didn't have to share his heart or emotions with like 20, no, 11 women and like sex slaves and hurriyat or whatever the hell. And what about those? Oh my god. What about, like, does that mean that Muhammad, like, right now is in heaven, like, hanging out with those hurriyats, like, just like, yeah, I'm good. I'm chilling. Actually, technically, it's not Judgment Day, so therefore no one's doing that. But he's a prophet, though. He's special.
You said, all right. Well, I think that we're probably not going to finish reading that story, but if people want to, we can read it like at a later date.
Yeah.
But right now, we're going to switch over to just like talking. So if anybody wants to pose a question in the comments, we're taking questions right now, topics, anything that people want to talk about, and then we'll just have like chill for like 10, 15 minutes, whatever, and then we can like end the session. So someone in the comments says unicorns never existed. I beg to differ, sir. Unicorns
Excuse
exist
me,
in my
like
heart. Friendship is
Twilight
magic.
totally exists. Like, she comes to our world all the time. Like, What?
I have a unicorn next to me right now, and you have to believe me because
Because he can't see you.
you can't prove that it's not there, so therefore it is there.
Yep. I have a Pikachu too, so like I train him. He's very cute. I always pet him. Sometimes he electrocutes me, so that makes me sad. Yeah.
Zayn said to the Prophet, "You want my wife as you have accidentally seen her. You do know Zainab was his cousin also. Zayn and Zainab had a few disagreements as Zayn was from a poor background." That's even worse. That was his cousin?
Oh my god, that's his
even
cousin
worse.
and he judged her because she's poor? Well, damn, I mean, you're her
No, or
family.
she judged him because he was poor or whatever. Yeah, that's still even worse. Isn't the Prophet supposed to encourage them to work out their disagreements instead of encouraging them to get a divorce?
And why is he poor? I thought he was the prophet's son. Adopted son. He shouldn't be in that position.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
For a poor background.
But you know, you gotta remember he was always claiming that he didn't like to accumulate wealth because he would say, "Oh, if I gotta,
Therefore, everybody was poor in that time. So
yeah,
what's the issue? Everyone was poor.
I didn't like to if I got what did he say? He said if I got a mountain of gold coins um right now, then by tomorrow I wouldn't have a mountain of gold coins because I would have given it all away to charity."
Oh, that's cute.
It sounds cute, but in reality, it's very impractical. It's not smart for him or the
Oh my
people
god.
that. I'm sorry.
Remember that guy who tried to show off to me and told me he has an inheritance, and he said it's gonna be released in 2020, and then he said I went and wrote a check to a charity and gave them all my money. I'm like, bitch, how?
Gave them my
And
entire inheritance.
but
But he
how can
thought
you
that was
do
going to
that?
be impressive. You were going to be like, "Oh, you're so sweet. You gave away every cent you have to charity." And it does sound like a nice thing on the surface, but it would be better if you were to give a portion of your money to charity, even if it was 3/4 of your fortune to charity. Keep some of it for yourself because at the end of the day, we do need self-preservation. You know,
Yeah,
you don't give away all your money to keep yourself in poverty. That's not a very smart business
and
practice. And then, you know,
exactly,
if
and
you
he's
keep it for
studying
yourself and your
marketing for
children
God's
and your
sake.
family, oh damn. Well, at least it's not accounting.
I mean, it has a
But
lot to do with
that's embarrassing. Yeah.
financial things. You know what I mean? But it was complete bullshit. And then get this, after when I told him, I was like, why would you do that? That's stupid. I said that to him. And then like a couple days later he came and he was like, oh, they
I didn't
returned the
do it.
check to me. No, he said they returned the check to me. I was like, yeah, maybe because it doesn't exist. Maybe because you didn't, if it's supposed to be
Even
released in
if yeah, even
2020.
if he did write a check for money that he wasn't going to have in his account for 2 years, yeah, they returned the check because it bounced because you don't actually have the money because you're a liar because this is a made up story. I mean, it's embarrassing when people try to lie and then like
Yeah,
they expect you to take their lie with no skepticism whatsoever.
yeah. And remember, like, after when time went by and I put him on, like, in the friend zone. Like, it's not like I put him in the friend zone. I wanted to be with him. He wanted to date me. And then eventually, when I didn't want to date him and I didn't talk to him for like 2 months, he came back and showed his true colors. And he was like, you fucking bitch. Like, I fucking hate you. You fucking
I
bitch.
never wanted to be with you anyway.
Yeah, no,
That's
he didn't say
funny.
that. He said all of the feelings that I had for you turned into disgust. Because he doesn't speak English very well. So he was just like, disgust, you bitch. I'm like, thank you. Like, add you to the list of guys that you know roast me or try to roast me when I don't like them.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah,
There
but
are
that
nice
his
guys.
story though, his story
It
was
was
hilarious
so
though. Like, when he
like
told me that.
unbelievable. It was not credible whatsoever. It didn't make sense. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get an inheritance and give it all away to charity. It's like, so you don't even got a
Hey,
job, bro.
Muslim proud to be. Are you like? Do you speak French? because you said motive, like, so, like,
No, that's
motif.
English. That's in English
Oh,
too.
okay. Oh, I thought it was a French thing because I know a little bit of French, so I thought, oh, hey, hey, fellow French speaker.
No. And you be detecting stuff that's not there. Good job. Oh, I hear a baby. What do you want to talk about?
It's not just English. Obviously, it's in French too. That's why I
Mhm.
said it. I don't know why I didn't know it in English though, but
It's all good.
yeah, I only recognized it in French.
That happens sometimes.
You speak French kissing? Nice.
Good job.
When did you learn that?
Not for me.
But he
Probably
wants
from his
to.
teacher. He learned it from that teacher,
He wants.
remember?
Oh, what teacher?
Dang, you don't remember? All right. I'm gonna leave him alone.
There's a French speaking kissing teacher. That's nice.
That's not what I meant, but never mind. So
Adapt.
yeah. Uh, how was your day, man?
You understood me, right? I said adapt.
Yes, of course I understood you.
That's cool.
What the heck?
I'm gonna be exposing myself if I keep speaking.
I want to get a guest on next week. Who do you think we should get on? Hello?
What?
I said I want to have a guest on
Yeah.
next week.
You know what I just realized? Okay, so you guys have to ask a question real quick because I do have to leave. I only have a little bit of time, so please
Oh,
ask the
okay.
questions.
I mean, if they don't want to, we can just like end it. It's fine.
تكلموا.
Anything? They're still talking about unicorns. Like, okay, here's the thing about unicorns. The reason that people think they existed, not exist, but like, oh, they existed in ancient times and they went extinct is like
They're
very
dinosaurs?
flimsy. No, I mean, basically it's horses or goats that had a bony part on their forehead. I personally think that it was just a rare deformation, and it's not a full-blown horn. It's just like a lump. And the myth started when somebody like touched the forehead of a goat who had a lump on its head, and they were told that used to be a unicorn, but its horn was cut off for medicinal purposes. So its horn was cut off and sold, and the unicorns went extinct because people hunted them to extinction for the magical properties of their horn. Their horns used to be ground up and sold for the. But this is all mythology because there's no proof that unicorn horns was a real commodity. I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. He said get
What?
introverted smiles. I don't know if introverted smiles would even talk. I don't know if he would even agree to come on like a
I mean,
stream.
you can try.
Yeah.
Try.
I don't know what we talk about. Oh, you know what? I
Um,
was gonna say because obviously
I mean,
we usually talk about Islam, me and you, but I was gonna say like we should really have one of these days that we're just chill and we talk about like politics or comic books or cartoons or superheroes or something like that. That I mean,
oh,
that's what I
I would
wanted to
love to
do.
discuss
Just be
DC
chill.
Universe characters.
Just DC? Oh, come on, you're racist.
Um,
What's wrong with
no,
Marvel?
no, I can talk about Marvel. I just don't know as much about them as DC. That's what I meant. It's not because I don't like them. I do like some Marvel characters. It's just I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't watched the movies. Sorry.
I
I
mean,
know
Marvel
like it's
is
blasphemous.
X-Men is Marvel. Like the X-Men, right?
Of course,
Oh, by
I
the way,
watched them since I
Deadpool
was a kid.
2 is
But
coming out this summer. His sequel is
that's oh
already.
my god, that's gonna be amazing. See, I do
Mhm.
like Marvel characters. I just mean I don't know them like the same way that I know DC. Like I don't know facts about them the way that I do
Yeah.
like
I
DC
mean, I
Universe.
understand. But if you would just like catch up on the movies and stuff, then you would. It's all good.
Okay, I'll try to find all the movies and watch them, but I have to know the order.
Yeah, it's so hard to keep up with the order. Actually, I'm gonna watch Thor Ragnarok one of these days. Like I'll probably watch it like
Which one?
Thor Ragnarok. It's like one of the more the I think it's the more recent one.
What is it called?
Thor Ragnarok. I said it like 10 times.
Oh,
Anyway, I'll watch it like
because
on
you said
Friday.
Ragnar, so I was like,
Oh, you thought I was saying Ragnar's rock or something. Oh my god.
I was like, wait a minute, what?
Don't start. Oh my gosh.
Ragnarok. Ragnaroks, but I don't really like Ragnar, to be honest, from Vikings.
He
I
said
think he's
Marvel
annoying as
does
hell, but you know, you didn't
Marvel
watch
does
it.
better movies. The stories in DC are better. I mean, I think we can agree
Yes, that's exactly it.
in to an extent because you know DC gets very like in depth with their stories, and Marvel is starting to get more in depth. Obviously, when they brought together the whole Avengers thing, and each Avenger has their own like subplots and in movies and all that. They're before the first Avengers movie came out, they didn't even compare. But they've just been continuously getting better and better each year and with each movie. So that's why Marvel is gaining traction. But but
I mean, that's really good,
DC has
actually.
some,
How
some old
dare
diehard
I? I'm
fans.
sorry, Ragnar is a flawed human. Okay, 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 Ragnar. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm not gonna say that I hate him completely or anything. I just mean that he has he has some flaws that I just can't overlook because people see him as like this great warrior person, and he is a great warrior, but he is a complete fucking asshole, like to the deepest level. And he's and he talks about power, but he's weak when it comes to his emotions, because then I mean why did he forgive Rollo should have died. But I know, like, it's history or whatever, even though it's not real history. It's bullshit history. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, because
But
you said
Ragnar,
that
like,
the real life characters like weren't even alive in the same generation when you look them up.
yes, Rollo is like 200 years younger than Ragnar. I mean, basically Bjorn. Oh, and also Bjorn was not the son of Lagritha. He was the son of Aslog or whatever her name is, and he wasn't the. I think he wasn't the oldest. He was the youngest. Like, come on, man, come on. Just because they want to put like everything together, because I think they didn't want to have like two separate Viking shows, like one with Rollo and one with Ragnar. Like how would they be able to include all these fairy tales and not fairy tales, that's real history. How would they be able to include all of these things in one show if they didn't kind of dismiss the fact that it was like 200 years difference between them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Ragnar is a real person. He was a real king. Look it up. He was a real king of Norway, I think. So yeah, like do your research before you talk. I'm kidding. I do my research every time I watch a show. It's like if I know that it's based off someone, I have to know their story. And okay, if Ragnar isn't real, how come Bjorn is a real person and Bjorn is his son? Like
What?
okay, that means that Bjorn didn't exist either. Yes, okay, so there was a king in Norway named Ragnar. Okay, then he does exist. He's a real person that I mean, basically they took the name of Ragnar at least. If it's not really based 100% on Ragnar, they took his name and they took his story, at least part of his story, because he was a real king, and in Vikings he is a king. So, yeah.
Anyway,
What
it's
is
just like
it?
saying that half of the stories, it's like, oh, it's not something that really happened. It was just the mythology, the myth of the man and the legend mixed with, a real a person who did exist but didn't actually do all that stuff. It's like, yeah, but that's pretty much the case with all of these historical figures. There's gonna be myths and legends mixed with their real history.
I gotta say one last thing. Rollo is hot, but he is an asshole too. So, damn it. Yeah. A lot of people think that Ragnar is like the hot one, but in my opinion, Rolo is the hot one. Not that I'm saying you guys are sitting there thinking, oh, Rolo, which one is the hottest brother? Yeah. But yeah, Rolo is a horrible character because he betrayed his brother and betrayed his people to be with the French like princess, to be his own king, I guess. Whatever. Fuck it. Ugh. Iva, yeah, Iva is okay. Like, Iva is evil as fuck though. Like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. This show actually, I had weird mixed feelings about this show. I was watching it and like low key hating it, and then also enjoying it at the same time. It's the weirdest feeling. I never felt like this about a show ever, where I was like sort of hate watching it. You know.
All right. And on that note,
yeah, you don't know anything about this show.
No,
so,
it's
sorry.
no, it's all good. I think I was like,
I'm gonna go pierce my ears.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go do it right after this.
Something else. Yeah. I'm gonna go pierce an unnamed part of my body.
Oh, damn.
Shit. What was I gonna say? Oh, I don't know. It's like I would hate watching The Walking Dead because I liked it in the beginning, but certain seasons, ugh. It's not that it was bad. It was just that, like, sometimes when shows have a certain amount of fandom and people build it up to be better than it really is, and you watch it like, oh my god, oh, Breaking Bad, that's what it was. Like, I was like, hate watching Breaking Bad. After the first season, I was like, why am I still watching this? It's so terrible. I don't know why people love it so much. Anyway, it was so much fun having everyone on. Let's do this again next week.
Yeah, it'll be super fun talking to you guys again. But next time, have your questions ready.
Right? Because really, we didn't get any questions, and that was kind of disappointing. Y'all gotta step up your game, bro.
Also, I already have my ears pierced, but it's just that I'm re-piercing some of the holes that closed. That's what I'm doing.
Don't say hole that closed. That creeps me out.
Yeah. Sorry. One other thing about piercings, I don't wear the ones that like kind of just go down. I always wear like the little stud thingies, so I don't think they're gonna yank off. So peace out, have fun, you guys, wherever you are.
People, later. Yeah.